Welcome back to Her Story Untold Studios, where we highlight the powerful stories of women who face life's toughest challenges, come out stronger. I'm your host, Tanir. On this show, we dive deep into stories of resilience, growth, and healing, with the hope of inspiring every listener to reclaim their own power and start new. Today's conversation is one that many of us can relate to: breaking free from toxic relationships and the journey of rediscovering yourself on the other side. No matter how dark your past may seem, every day offers a new opportunity to rewrite your story. You have the strength to rise, rebuild, and reclaim your life. Remember, your past doesn't define you. It's how you choose to grow from it that matters. Before we begin, I'd like to offer a gentle reminder that today's discussion will include topics related to domestic violence and mental health challenges. If these subjects are triggering for you, please take care of yourself and feel free to pause or skip this episode as needed. I'm super excited to have today's guest here with us. She's an incredibly strong woman who turned her pain into purpose. Could you please introduce yourself to our listeners and share a little bit about your journey?
Yes, I'm so honored to be here. My name is Eboni Nicole, but I do go by Coach Mogul because I am now, a life coach to mothers. My journey has been a long one. I've been through a lot of mental health issues, domestic violence. I'm a single mom of four, but I can proudly say that I haven't let that stop me from, becoming the woman that I wanted to be. And so right now I'm in a journey of healing. I'm in a journey of rediscovering who I am and just rebuilding the life that I absolutely love.
Amazing. So, can you take us back to the moment you realized you were in an abusive relationship?
Yeah, so it's so crazy because I think I was delusional for a while. I had dealt with a lot of mental and emotional abuse, which to me, for some reason in my mind, it didn't really equate to abuse because I wasn't physically being abused. But there were moments that I recall in my marriage where, there was physical abuse going on, some choking and just things that were physical. But for some reason, because it wasn't a reoccurring thing, because it happened every now and then, in my mind, I think it was just a survival tactic. I really didn't see myself as an abused person. It honestly took me getting out of my marriage, getting into therapy, getting into Celebrate Recovery for me to realize, like, wait, girl, you did go through abuse. There was physical abuse. It was more than just emotional abuse.
Right.
So it really, I just kind of came to the realization and snapped out of whatever zone I was in just in the last past year or so after, as I was going through my divorce, actually.
Okay. So, were some of the signs you would say that you ignored them?
Yeah, big time. I ignored the signs. And after getting into therapy, my therapist, she said something to me that really struck a nerve. She said, do you know that you talk about yourself in the third person? She said that as I was talking about things that I had been through, that I was talking about them as if it wasn't even me. And she believed that it was a coping mechanism for me to get through the abuse that I was going through. I have my four kids, still just trying to figure out what I'm going to do once I leave my husband. I built like a different reality, and as if it wasn't me that it was happening to. And so I was definitely in denial. When I look back now and I just think about the woman that I was before all of the abuse took place, like I would never even be in that type of relationship. So I definitely think that something snapped, something happened mentally to where I just kind of like turned it off and just tried to create a different reality so I can just get through day by day.
Right. Okay. So, how did the abuse affect your mental and emotional health?
Well, a lot of it was emotional abuse to begin with. My husband was a serial cheater. I had gotten myself in a position where I was dependent on him financially to a certain extent. I did have my own business, but when I got with him, I was just starting my own business, just getting it off the ground. I had left my 9 to 5, and I had become dependent on him a little financially. And so there was some financial abuse as well going on. But it affected my mental health to the point where I ended up having a nervous breakdown. I had a nervous breakdown and I was bedridden. I couldn't even take care of myself. I couldn't take care of my kids. For a good 3 months, I was just in the bed. I was diagnosed with depression. I was diagnosed with anxiety. I was just, they put me on medication, and I really was just a walking zombie. Even now, I don't even recall a lot from that time in my life. But what happened was going through therapy once again. I'm an advocate for therapy. My therapist said that I had been taking on so much, just taking on so much and just sweeping things under the rug, not dealing with things, not facing my reality, that it came a point where me and my husband had separated. And when I had separated from him, wasn't really doing anything. I really was able to relax. I really was able to woosah,
Right.
as you want to say. And it was that moment that I ended up having a nervous breakdown, because everything that I had been through, everything just started flooding my mind. And I woke up in the middle of the night and I just found myself curled up in the corner.
Wow.
And my dad had to take me to the hospital because I honestly thought like that my life was ending. So it had been a buildup of things and not really facing reality and not dealing with it that really led me to have the mental breakdown.
Wow, Ebony. So, how did your breakdown impact your ability to care for your children? And how did you find strength to come back from it?
Well, while I was going through the breakdown again, it was a time when me and my husband had separated. I ended up staying with my father, me and my kids, and he was in a 2-bedroom apartment. I have 4 kids, so it was hard for me. My mom ended up coming out here to help out, and honestly, I don't even know. I didn't take care of my kids at that time, sadly to say, and it really breaks my heart to say that, but I couldn't. It was times where I laid in bed and I was just like, okay, like God, like if this is the end, like, like just let me go peacefully, It was times where I really thought like I wasn't going to make it through it. So my kids would come into the room, they would talk to me, I would talk to them, but I wasn't even really eating at that time. So I have to applaud my support system, my parents. They really stepped up and stepped in to take care of my kids. And so how I came out of it, I want to say, honestly, I'm really big on faith. I believe in God, and I prayed. And it was even moments where I couldn't even physically open up my mouth. I couldn't even physically get out of the bed and pray. But I just, in my mind, I grew up in the church and I knew scriptures, right? I had scriptures that I remembered as a young girl. I had scriptures in my heart, and really I just recalled those scriptures in my mind. And I would just think of those scriptures even when I couldn't speak them. I tried to listen to praise music, but that made things worse for some reason. So I really just sat with God, and I just pleaded with God. And I remember God telling me that this was something I was going to have to go through, this is something that I was going to have to go through, that he allowed me to go through. And he even told me the time frame. He said, you're going to go through this, but it's going to be just a few months. And then on the other side of it, you're going to come out brand new. And so I have to accredit it to God. Like I wasn't even going to my therapy appointments. I literally was just in bed, just me and God, up all night, just battling through it. It was a battle, but I came out on the other side. Once I did tell myself, I don't want to be on medication. I don't want to take this medication. I don't like how it's making me feel. And so I decided to just do things naturally and just really get into therapy. I got into a program called Celebrate Recovery, and it's kind of like a 12-step program, but it's a program that's like over a year. And I just really did the work. Honestly, I did the work on myself. I did the work just figuring out like, how did I get here? How did I allow this? What happened? And from doing the work and just really focusing on me and not too much of, he did this to me, I'm the victim. really just focusing on bettering myself and focus on what I did and what I could do to be better moving forward. That is what helped me to get out of that situation and overcome and actually come out on the other side way stronger than I ever was.
Oh, wow, that's so inspiring to take a step back and not point fingers and actually look at how it all started and got to that point. Wow. So, what was your turning point that made you decide to leave and start over?
Well, my turning point was even after the nervous breakdown, I still went back to this man. We were separated for about the whole time, about the 3 months, and smooth talking, things are going to be different. I'm going to change. I ended up going back to him, and my breaking point got to a point where it was just a repeated behavior, repeated cheating, repeated just being, abusive, verbally abusive. And one night I just was in a situation where I found myself asleep on the living room couch, my husband in the room getting, drunk. He had become an alcoholic, so he drunk very heavily. And I found myself, getting up, trying to go into my room, trying to go to sleep. I didn't feel good. I let him know, I don't feel good. I need to get into my room, our room. And he just flipped out. He flipped out, held me down on the bed, threatened to take my life. And it was at that moment that I thought about my kids, and I thought, like, oh my gosh, this man could end my life right now, and my kids are sleeping in the next,
Right,
bedrooms. And so just really just played alone and, kind of like, no, I'm so sorry. And, just trying to get him to calm down. And once I felt his grip off of me, I got up and I actually just ran out of the house. My first instinct, I ran out of the house. My keys were right next to the door. I grabbed my keys, ran out of the house. And once I got out of the house and got like a little bit down from the house, I realized, like, oh my God, like my kids are still in the house.
right,
And so I had to end up calling the police to get my kids out. But honestly, that was the turning point where I was like, I have to leave this man or someone's going to leave in a body bag.
right,
And so I just didn't want to be another statistic, and I just decided for myself, I don't really know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to leave. And honestly, me and my kids left with nothing. When I say nothing, my kids had their backpacks for school, their school uniforms. I had the clothes that I had on my back. They had clothes on their back. I was able to, go back in with the police escort and get like some important papers, and we never left. We never looked back. We left. I left everything, furniture, everything. When me and my kids finally did get into our new place, we got it. We were in our new place with nothing, but we were happy,
right,
sleeping on the floor with pallets, until we were able to get things, until I was able to, make enough money to buy beds. But, my kids were happy. I was happy. We were safe. And so
right.
that's how I started my life over.
Wow. How did you process the feelings of guilt or self blame?
Ooh, I'm actually still processing that. There are moments where I just wake up and I'm just like, how could I like let this happen? I'm just such an irresponsible parent. I know better. I knew better. I grew up with an amazing father. I had a great example of men in my family who were amazing men. I just really put the blame on myself a lot. And honestly, I'm still processing it. I'm still going through healing. I'm way far from where I was, but I'm still processing
Mm,
it. There are still days where I wake up and I'm just like, I'm such a failure. Oh my gosh, I should be ahead. You know, just beating myself up, but then I have to give myself grace. I have to give myself grace because I went into my marriage to be in my marriage forever, to do right by my husband, to do right by my children, to be the best wife that I could absolutely be. I didn't choose the man that my husband became. When I first met my husband, he was an amazing man. That's who I fell in love with. That's who I chose. The man that he became is not the man that I chose. And so I just had to learn to forgive myself. Honestly, I had to learn to forgive him.
right,
As crazy it may sound, I had to learn like to forgive him. He had a lot of toxic things he was dealing with, his upbringing, a lot of things that happened in his life. I'm not excusing his behavior, but he had a lot of issues as well. There were a lot of red flags in the beginning that I ignored. And so just again, putting it back on me, like, you have to take responsibility for this. This happened to you. But as you said before, this is your past. You don't have to let this define you.
Right.
You can actually move forward. You can start over. You can create a new life. It's not too late for you.
Absolutely. So with forgiving, we know it can be very hard to forgive. Did it take you a long time to actually forgive him?
Yes, I think in the beginning I felt like I forgave him, but then it was moments where I had to talk to him and I'm like, I really just want to cuss this man out.
Right.
Like, I really just want to tell him exactly how I feel and how he ruined my life. But I think because I had done so much work, and again, bringing it back to just my faith, I knew that I couldn't harbor anger and I couldn't harbor unforgiveness towards this person. That he went on with his life. He got a new girlfriend, he had a baby, he went on with his life. What good was it going to be for me to harbor all this anger, harbor all this resentment, making myself physically sick from it, when I could just, forgive this man and just move on with my life? And that's what I chose to do. Forgiveness is not about letting someone back into your life. It's not about, okay, now you guys are best friends, or, not holding that person accountable. No, I very much hold him accountable. I very much have boundaries, but I forgive him to the point where, if I have to co-parent with him, I can do that. I want my life to be as peaceful as possible. I want the best for my son. And all of that takes me to be the bigger person. And sometimes it sucks, but sometimes we have to be the bigger person
Right.
in the situation. So that's just what's been helping me. I still have my moments where I'm just like, I really can't stand this person. I don't want to talk to them at all. I don't ever want to see them again in my life. And when I have those moments, I pray. When I have those moments, I sit with myself. I meditate. I just try to change my mind, and just, give myself a good old pep talk. It's not about you, it's about your son.
Right.
I still have those. I think it's a continuous process, especially having to co-parent with a person that, did this to you. The courts, they don't care. They're telling me, you still have to co-parent with him. So I want to make the best of that. I want to go on with my life. And that's just what I'm choosing to do. And forgiveness is part of moving on with my life.
I just love how you turned a situation that was terrible and it allowed you to strengthen your faith, right? You meditate, you
Yes.
spend time with the Lord. When you having those thoughts and you start blaming yourself or feeling guilty, you pray. You was even praying when you were in the worst shape, when you were in pain. Okay? And that says a lot about you. That says a lot about you. What inner work or practices have helped you in rebuilding your confidence?
So my confidence. So honestly, I mean, recently I just cut all my hair off. And honestly, in this moment, I just turned 45 in July. I honestly feel the most confident that I've ever felt in my life. Again, I just think, and I know it's like I keep saying this, but just doing the work, being in therapy. I was going to therapy 2 years, every single week, not missing an appointment. I was in my recovery program, Celebrate Recovery, just surrounding myself with other women who were just so supportive, so encouraging, and just not trying to just be in this thing alone, not trying to just, I can be to myself. I can be to myself. I can seclude myself, isolate myself, all of that. But I really just had to get outside of my comfort zone and let other people in. And those people just poured into me so much that they helped build my self esteem. I have a really amazing best friend who is always just bigging me up, sending me messages like, "Oh, you're so amazing, friend. Like, you're an amazing woman of God." And just really pouring into me. And I think that helped me a lot, especially the moments where I felt like I was nothing. Like I felt like I messed my life up. Like I felt like it was over. I can't start over. It's too late for me. Sometimes you really need people in your life that's going to say, no, that's a lie. Right. And then also just, again, my faith, just getting in the word. And it's like, no, that's not who God says I am. So I say like, okay, God, who do you say I am? And then I just look up, scriptures that God says that I'm fearfully and wonderfully made, and just really begin to see myself as God sees me. And that was one of my prayers as well, that my friend taught me, like to see myself how God sees me. And so when I do have those thoughts and I'm like, no, I'm going to see myself how God sees me. I've been blessed to be able to help other women now, to pour into other women. And even doing that gives me so much confidence in myself. Having the women inbox me, having the women message me to let me know like how much I'm helping them, how much they're inspired by me, that gives me confidence as well. Doing the thing that I love and helping other people has built my confidence up tremendously.
That's amazing. So would you say that everything that you went through leading up to this point is, meant, was it aligned for you to start the whole coach mogul mom movement?
Yes, definitely. So I had already been doing the Coach Mommy Mogul and helping mompreneurs in their business, right? That was my original business. I help moms in their business, like branding, grow their business, all things business. But since I've been through this, I actually shifted and I'm helping moms on another level. I'm helping them get through, domestic issues. I'm helping them rebuild their lives. I'm just helping them not just business, but more on a life coaching scale. And honestly, I really wouldn't even think that this is something that I would be doing. So sometimes I'm like, okay, this is really my life. This is what I'm doing. But I really feel like I'm a strong believer that everything that we go through is for a reason, and that it's not always about us, right? The things, even the most terrible things you go through, sometimes it's for other people. So you can help other people overcome, so you can help other people go through that. And there were moments I went through things. I went through the emotional abuse. I went through, the cheating. I went through, the physical abuse, and God reminded me that it's not just all about you, that one day you're going to be able to look back at this. You're going to be able to help another woman overcome. And that is what you were created for. And so even in my toughest moments, when I'm crying, when I'm yelling, when I'm like, God, I don't understand, this isn't fair, I have to remember, okay, this isn't about me. Like, this is going to help another woman overcome. This is going to help my daughter. This is going to break generational curses. This is going to help my sons, for me to be able to teach them how to be with women, how to control their anger. So I really feel like all of it, like the scripture says, God causes all things to work together for our good. And so I really do believe that every single thing that I went through, that He has worked it for my good. And as tough as it was, I wouldn't change anything about it, because it's made me the woman that I am today.
So how do you balance taking care of yourself and your children, Eboni?
Ooh, so right now I have my own business. I'm working in my own business with the kids. I'm at home. I really have to set a schedule for myself. I'm finding that a schedule works best for me. I work my business like I work a 9 to 5. So I get up in the morning. I have a set 8-hour schedule, take my breaks, takes my lunches. I have an office that I work in with the door closed. So my kids know that my mom is an entrepreneur. They know when the door is closed. They know not to bother me. They send me a text message if there's an issue. I come out, do what I need to do with the kids. I do also have my father who's very hands-on, and he helps a lot, taking the kids to school, picking them up. So I do have, some support, but for the most part, I try to just make sure I get that time in for myself, whether it's getting up early in the morning or staying up late, because I'm really not an early bird. I'm not the person to be like, I wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. That is not me, okay? But I stay up a little bit later at night to watch some YouTube, read, and I just make sure I just get that time in for myself, even if it's just 5 minutes. I'm really big on scheduling in your self-care. I literally put it on my calendar, like Saturday, 12 to 2 p.m. Eboni self-care, and I do whatever I want to do. Self-care is more than just going to the spa. It's more than just getting your nails done. Whatever fills you up, whatever makes you happy. So if I'm binge watching YouTube for 2 hours, that's my self-care. But I find that when I schedule it in, because it's just as important as that doctor's appointment you're scheduling in, that it allows me to have time for myself. And honestly, if I didn't have that time for myself, I would be angry bird. I don't want to be yelling at my kids. I don't want to be taking anything out on my kids. And so I do try my very best to have that time for myself.
Amazing. That's so what does life look like now compared to where you were before?
Oh my gosh, life looks like freedom. Life looks like peace. It's so crazy because I see so many women, wanting to be married and just making posts and being so lonely. And this is like the best time of my life. And I'm not saying that I won't ever get married again, because I do believe that God has that for me. But this is the most peace I've ever felt. This is the most happiness I've ever felt. I don't have to wake up and not know, how a person is going to be, how they're going to react. I don't have to walk on eggshells anymore. I'm able to focus. My relationship with God has grown so much. I'm able to actually step into ministry now and just be more hands-on with my kids. It's honestly like the best time of my life. My friends joke, they're like, don't get too comfortable, don't be like, grow old and you don't need a man. And I'm like, no, it's not that. It's just that I'm so happy in who I am right now. And even if God has marriage for me, I know that I'm working on myself and I'm going to be the absolute best person that I can be for my future spouse. But this time in my life, everything isn't perfect, but it's just such a relief to wake up. Sometimes I lie in bed and I'm like, I just feel so much peace. I can't even explain it. It's the peace that surpasses all understanding, honestly. Just so much peace and just contentment that I have right now.
I felt that.
Yes.
So, how do you continue to grow and maintain your resilience on this journey of healing?
So, still very big on therapy, and just right now I'm just really working on myself. And what that looks like is like I'm getting my finances together, working on my credit, just got a new car. I'm getting ready to move to another state. I'm really just so sold out on just becoming the best version of myself and becoming who God wants me to be. So I'm heavy in my word. I'm praying, fasting, consecrating, just really meditating, seeking God, asking God for direction, what He wants my next move to be. Just really trying to make sure I'm in God's will, because if you're in God's will, then you really can't go wrong. So I've tried things my way, tried things the world's way, and it didn't work out so good for me. So now I'm in a space of, okay, God, like, what do you want me to do? I'm gonna let you order my steps and just really just becoming who God wants me to be, and working on myself.
I absolutely love that. So, what is one message you want to leave with women who are still in the storm to see the light at the end of the tunnel?
I want you to know that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. It's very real, and that you are able to overcome. You are able to overcome. It's not too late. You can get yourself out of this situation. It's not the end of the world. You can start over. You can create a beautiful life for yourself and your children if you have children, and that you're not alone. I always say that I am the evidence. right? I've been through so much. I've been through the cheating, the divorce, the abuse. I've been through the divorce trial. I've been through custody trial. I've been through so much, and I'm on the other side of it. If I could sit and write a book and write everything that I've been through, I could make a movie. But I'm on the other side of it. And God is not a respecter of persons. He didn't get me through and it's like, oh, I'm going to get her through because she's better than you. I'm going to get her through because she prayed more than you. No, God can get you through it, and you just have to take the first step. Just take the first step. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to have it all together. Just take the first step, and God will meet you right where you are.
Take the first step, okay? Just take the
Yes.
first.
Yes.
So, before we wrap up that interview, I ask, what is advice that you would give your younger self?
Oh my goodness. I think about this so often. I would tell my younger self to go for it. I was so reserved as a child and a young woman and just a people pleaser and, a daddy's girl. And I wanted to make my dad happy. I wanted to make my parents proud. I went to college. I majored in something I didn't even want to major in just to appease people. And I had so many dreams and so many aspirations that I didn't do because it didn't line up with what other people have for my life. And so I think about that often. I would tell myself to go for it. Just go for it. Whatever it is that you want to do, whatever is in your heart, just go for it. That's what I would tell my younger self.
That's some powerful advice, okay? Take the first step and just go for it.
Yes.
So, thank you, Ebony, so much for sharing your powerful story with. Is there any way that we can connect with you?
Yes. So social media, I'm at Coach Mommy Mogul on all platforms. It's Coach and then Mommy MOMY and then Mogul MOGUL. You can find my website information and everything that I do on my Instagram. And yeah, so I would love to hear from you, from anyone that needs some advice, needs some encouragement. I would love to hear from you.
Absolutely. Her information will be linked in the description. You can go check her out. She's on Threads. She's on Instagram. You might want her to coach you. We never know. Okay. But there will be information for you to contact her linked in the description. Ebony's journey is a reminder that no matter how deep the are or how long the road to recovery is, it's possible to rise above and create a life filled with peace, joy, and purpose. And as Ebony said, to everyone listening, remember that healing is a process, and every step you take toward becoming your best self is a victory. Stay committed to your growth, surround yourself with love and support, and never forget you are more than what happened to you. You are what you choose to become. Until next time, love and light.